Well, the price of oil pushing to new heights today. It hit $112 a barrel around lunchtime. It was $109 yesterday. And that comes just a couple of days after President Obama's remarks suggesting that Americans who are complaining about these numbers should consider getting rid of their SUVs. Take a listen.
Increase efficiency on cars and trucks, which is where most of our oil is used. Now, I noticed some folks clapped, but I know some of these big guys, they're all still driving their big SUVs. You know, they got their big monster trucks and everything. You're one of them? Well, now, here's my point. You know, if you're complaining about the price of gas and you're only getting 8 miles a gallon, you know, well, you may have a big family, but it's probably not that big. So, how many you have? 10 kids, you say? 10 kids? Well, you definitely need a hybrid van then.
He'd get you there, Mr. President. Joining me now, Nancy Skinner, syndicated radio talk show host, and Ben Ferguson, host of the Ben Ferguson Show. Now, that was funny. That was funny. And the president had a laugh, too. But, by the way, I read that if you want a hybrid van, you have to fly to Japan to buy one of those. So that's not particularly helpful for that man in Philadelphia. But, Ben, you know, it's funny, and it was sort of a light moment, but there's been a lot of criticism about the exchange because some people are saying it's actually no laughing matter, and it reflects an attitude by President Obama of sort of blaming the consumers as opposed to blaming what people believe, some people, particularly on the right, are his own policies.
Well, I think you look at this president. This president has wanted high gas prices. Look at who he appointed energy secretary. The guy was quoted in the Wall Street Journal last year as saying, we have to figure out how to make gas prices go up so that people be forced to alternative energy. And that's exactly what this president wants. He likes these high gas prices because then he can push his issue, his green issue, and say, hey, now these prices are a little bit more competitive for alternative energy, which I'm telling you, you're forcing on you. And this is forcing an ideology on people that they can't afford right now. $4 a gallon gasoline, the president should be saying, I will do everything I can to stop it. And this president's actually saying, go for the alternative because I like the price where they are, and it's bad for America.
I don't know, Nancy. I mean, Ben accurately quotes what the energy secretary said prior to becoming energy secretary about how we got to hike up the gas prices. But President Obama likes the high gas prices. There was just a report out the other day saying the White House is obsessing over these oil numbers because they're very worried about how they're going to play politically.
Right, with the economy as well. That obviously we know that we're just coming out of this terrible recession, so the high gas prices do exactly that. I do find it interesting, though, that the guy's got 10 kids. I'm wondering how he feels about the Planned Parenthood government shutdown issue. And he has two.
I think the guy doesn't know anything about birth control. He's not worried about Planned Parenthood.
Apparently not. So my point to us, the president is to say he wants it because he wants people to suffer. What he is saying is that and I think there is bipartisan support on this. We do need an energy policy that makes us less dependent on the global price of oil, which is where
right. But the focus is, why turn it around on the consumer and say you people driving the SUVs? You know, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, you got a small car, you're probably worried about $4 a gallon gas too.
But they're just not. It's just not there are new alternatives now. The federal government has worked with the auto industry here. I'm in Detroit now. The biggest selling cars were the Chevy Cruze and the Ford Fusion. These get 45 miles.
They're not.
The
SUVs are still the biggest selling cars in America.
Models. I'm sorry?
Well, he seems to be suggesting, Ben, that you have an obligation not to buy the SUV, or if you have an SUV, to turn it in and find something else.
And that's
a hybrid,
him pushing his That's him pushing his ideological viewpoint in the American consumers. Look at the president. He shut down drilling after the BP oil spill. Understandable. I'm okay with that. But then he lifts the moratorium. However, the United States government's given out one permit because the White House said we don't want any drilling there. He obviously does not want to drill here. He doesn't want to lower the prices here. And he wants a Chevy Volt to force Nancy and I to buy it. And I'm not buying it.
What about that, Nancy? Because even when he was running for president, remember he got in some hot water because he made a similar comment back then when he said something. I've got a partial quote here. He's talking about we can't drive our SUVs and eat as much as we want and keep our homes on 72 degrees all the time and then just expect that other countries are going to say, okay. I think it was in the context of trying to get other countries on board in terms of, clean air and carbon emissions. But
climate change.
But he keeps focusing on the people who drive the SUVs. Meantime, you can see the pictures of President Obama before he became
Getting
president, he was
an SUV
driving a
every day.
Chrysler 300C with a V8 engine and a 17 mile per gallon
Here's
in the
what
city.
he's talking about. Here's what we're talking about, is that the Germans and the Chinese are kicking our butts in terms of technological advancement. The Chinese invested $52 billion in green technologies, the Germans as well, that we can do better. The Japanese are...
In China, you can only have one child. In this country, that guy's got 10.
And here's the thing. The President of the United States of America, I'm in favor...
Let me just finish. If we can be more efficient, if we can use technology, which the Chevy Volt, if we had the infrastructure so that it would...
Do you own one?
Wait, let her finish, and then I'll give you the last word, Ben.
Yeah, 25% of all of our filling stations with hydrogen fuel. If we can advance and be more efficient with technology and have green jobs, why not? What's wrong with that, Ben?
What is this? I'm sorry. What are we pushing
Did God
40 years
say
ahead?
use
But you want it
All
right
right,
now.
now give Ben a chance.
Let me make this very clear, Nancy. You cannot, the average American right now, with still very high unemployment, with $4 a gallon gas, it's still cheaper to put gas in my car than to buy an electric car, which right now, in average America, whether it be Detroit or Tennessee or Arkansas or even Virginia or Washington, D.C., you can't fill those things up. We don't have hydrogen gas stations. So you're talking about futuristic problems. And right now, the problem Americans care about is the price of gas, and that's it.
$199 lease for Ford Fusions that get 45 miles to the
Do you
gallon
own
right
one?
now.
Do you own one? What do you
They
drive?
are now here. I'm getting
What
the
do you
Volt.
drive?
I'm in line for the Chevy Volt.
No, not what are you
I'm
getting.
going all
What
the
do you
way.
drive?
That's my dream car.
What do you drive
right
now? You don't have a Volt.
A Chrysler Sebring, okay? And I'm waiting for a Chevy
And my
Volt.
point is, you're not going to a little small car. You want a car with 4 doors that can protect you if you're in an accident. That's what you're driving. That's what I drive. I drive a manual transmission, but I'm not putting myself in a smart car, so when I get hit, I lose. And most Americans want the same thing without the president forcing them to buy something that has an electric plug to it that costs $40,000.
All right, guys, I got to leave it at that. I got to leave it at that.
Consumers choices, so we don't go to war for oil, Ben.
Don't force them to a car they don't want to drive.
Kids, and I confess I drive an SUV. I don't feel guilty about it. Should I?
Good for you.
I leave it to
Protect
the
your
viewers to
family.
tell me.
You should do it.
Kelly at FoxNews.com. Guys, thanks. All the best.
Thanks.